Hello, amazing people, and welcome back to the Ryan Files Reopened, where we revisit cases that built this show with new insight and fresh eyes. This was only the second episode I ever made, and looking back now, it's wild to see how different it looked, sounded, and felt. But this trip, this journey to Peru, was instrumental in starting everything that the Ryan Files has become. I'll never forget those mornings in Cusco, having breakfast with Timothy Alberino, talking about lost civilizations, ancient giants. It was awesome. Or the late night talks with Nate Henry from Blurry Creatures, just spitballing ideas about podcasting, storytelling, and why any of this even matters. Those moments lit a fire that became this show, and I've never stopped being thankful for them, for the people I met, and for you, the audience that keeps pushing me to dig deeper. So today we're cracking open one of the earliest cases in the Ryan Files archive, the one that started it all. This is Peru, the megalithic mystery. Let's dive in. Thanks for everyone that tuned in last week and for everyone who signed up for the email notifications at theryanfiles.com. Now, the website is working. I'm just testing it now and making some final adjustments, so look for it soon. If you want to help us out, subscribe to this channel, this YouTube channel, and tell your friends about it and have them subscribe as well. It makes a huge difference for a young podcast like the Ryan Files. And as always, please like this video, hit that bell for notifications, and get on our mailing list at theryanfiles.com. So let's set the scene for this episode, a very brief history of how the Spanish conquered the Inca Empire in Peru. When Spaniards Francisco Pizarro and his brothers reached Peru in 1532, these conquistadors found Peru as the hub of the mighty Inca civilization, spanning from modern-day Ecuador to Chile. Before their conquest, a smallpox outbreak, which had spread from Hernan Cortez's takeover of the Aztec Empire in modern-day Mexico, it devastated the Inca Empire. Now, this troubling disease, it helped trigger a civil war between Atahualpa and Huáscar, brothers who were fighting a succession war after their father's death. Now, exploiting this turmoil, Pizarro staged a takeover. In 1532, the Spanish ambushed and captured Atahualpa, leading to his eventual execution. A fascinating story in and of itself if you're interested in a deeper dive. Now, initially, Pizarro pretended to uphold Inca rule, but the oppressive actions of the Spanish soon revealed their dominance and intentions. They violently suppressed indigenous uprisings, establishing Cusco as a Spanish colonial settlement by March 23rd of 1534, ending the city's autonomy. Peru and what was left of the Incan Empire were now under Spanish rule. Now, if you want to learn more about the history of Peru, you should definitely check out History of the Conquest of Peru by William Prescott. The link is in the description below. Now, my fascination with ancient ruins and archaeology goes way back. I still have a scar on my back from a whip I got on a field trip during an elementary school field trip. I was a bit too influenced by Raiders of the Lost Ark in my youth. So back in February of 2023, I was listening to an intriguing episode of one of my favorite podcasts, Blurry Creatures, and they talked about an upcoming expedition to explore the megalithic ruins in Peru. Now, what caught my attention about all this was that Timothy Alberino, someone with whom I share a passion for exploration on varied but similar topics, he was going to be one of the leaders of the trip. Naturally, I immediately signed up and spent the next months preparing for the altitude, ensuring I wouldn't miss a single moment while there. And remaining the true geek that I've always been, of course, I was geared up so I could film and photograph every second of the expedition. My decision to go to Peru was driven by a deep need to experience firsthand these colossal rocks or megaliths that I'd only really read and heard about in books. There was something gnawing at me, and my gut, it was telling me I needed to travel there to be able to just see them, to touch them, these amazing stones, just to better understand what their origins were. Sometimes, your instincts, they guide you to places that your mind can't quite grasp. So I went. Now, the journey itself was truly remarkable. The ruins, the landscapes, the rich culture, the immersive experience, man, it was nothing short of intoxicating. But what truly made this trip extraordinary was the group of people I had the privilege of sharing it with. Now, strangers at first, but now unforgettable companions, bound by a unique and unforgettable adventure. Now, on a side note, if you've never embarked on such a journey, man, I strongly encourage you to do it. Give it a try, man. The overwhelming positivity of stepping out there into the art of the possible, man, it is an experience like no other. So what do you say? Let me quickly break down the trip for you. The first day, we explored Cusco City and the Coricancha. Cusco's city streets are lined with megalithic stones that were the foundations of the capital city of the Inca Empire. The Coricancha was very important to the Inca. It was their sun temple, the most sacred site in the Incan Empire and its capital of Cusco. Its walls were covered with gold, and its courtyards were filled with golden statues. Even today, the place is incredible. To make a long story short, when the Spanish took over, it was converted to the convent of Santo Domingo under the rule of the Catholic Church. We then visited Sacsayhuaman. Now, Sacsayhuaman boasts the largest stones I experienced on the trip, some reaching 28 tons. I mean, the space shuttle only weighs 78 tons. When the Spanish first saw them, they said they had to have been placed there by either demons or giants. And these stones were quarried 10 to 20 miles away across challenging terrain at an altitude of over 12,000 feet above sea level. Honestly, there's no real words to describe how massive this site is. And I kind of sensed that would be the case when I was researching the site. And of course, that is why I had to go. My grand expectations were diminished by the reality of just how amazing Sacsayhuaman is. Another fascinating site we explored was Nuapa Iglesia, a little-known, rarely visited site on the side of a mountain in the Sacred Valley near Ollantaytambo. A sacred temple and a large cave await you at the end of the hike, including several structures, an altar carved in a bluestone outcropping, and what many believe to be a spiritual gateway or portal within the cave wall that was used by the ancient Incans. Interestingly, the same style and shape of these portals and altars can be found in many different places in the world, particularly in Egypt and ancient Persia, and in the relatively nearby ruins at Tiwanaku in Bolivia. After spending the night, we woke early for a morning hike to witness the Paccaritampu Pyramid on the Pacarina Plateau. Because the pyramid can only be seen at sunrise, and because we were there just days after the summer solstice, many of us jogged up the mountain slope to ensure that we were there before sunrise, a fact that will forever live on through the words of my new friend and companion on the trip, Justin. I bet you the hike down is going to be easier than the hike up.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. Yeah. So which one of you ass wagon ran?
A two-dimensional pyramid is laid out in the valley below, and the shadows cast by distant mountains during sunrise reveal an ancient calendar on the valley floor. It was super fascinating. It was like an ancient sundial. This experience alone was worth the entire trip, friends. Little did I know how much more there was to come. Our next stop was the fortress of Ollantaytambo, just across the valley from Parakina Plateau. Now, Ollantaytambo is considered the last remaining Incan city, as the Spanish were not able to overcome the Inca in this incredible site. Once again, throughout the entire city and fortress complex, we see megalithic stones quarried from a mountain across the sacred valley. And once again, we see a clear line that seems to indicate two different styles and abilities: megalithic architecture in the foundations and Incan stonework above. From a cultural perspective, one highlight of the trip was our evening meal where we experienced pachamanca, which in the Quechua language means earth pot. The raw meat and vegetables are placed on heated stones, then buried beneath wet blankets covered with earth. 20 minutes later, the dirt and blankets are removed, revealing an incredible meal that fed over 40 of us on the trip. I took such an interest in the process, really thinking of recreating it once I got home, that I was asked to plant the flowers on top. An honor, if I'm not mistaken, by my interaction with the folks there. After a train ride from Ollantaytambo, we finally made it to the grand finale, Machu Picchu. In terms of awe, mystery, and beauty, this complex was the crown jewel of the trip. I had the chance to climb Huayna Picchu in the morning and then explore the rest of the ruins throughout the rest of the afternoon. Once again, there was a theme that existed: megalithic rock foundations and Incan masonry built on top. I was so lucky to have visited when I did. Machu Picchu has been closed in the past due to political concerns, and just recently, access has been limited for conservation reasons. Still, if you ever get a chance to visit this amazing site, you should do so. I can tell you, it's a memory I'll never forget. Now again, my primary reason for this particular journey was to witness the megaliths, often referred to as Cyclopean architecture, and they're found at various sites worldwide. I mean, these stones are monumental. As I said, some of them weigh a staggering 128 tons. That's 70 cars, folks. And these massive stones, they're so intricately carved. They're fit together with such precision that a piece of paper won't fit between their curves, their joints. And I thought that was just something that people said. And then I was there and saw the precision firsthand. I mean, I'm a woodworker, and I think I'd be hard-pressed to create a miniature replica of these stones out of soft basswood or pine, let alone blocks of granite that weigh tons. So here's the problem, and I want you to listen closely to the issue at hand. On one side, modern academia asserts without a doubt that the Incan Empire cut, carried in place all the megalithic foundation stones that are found all over Peru, using only stone, bronze, and copper tools to shape the granite, the limestone, the green diorite rocks we find. Folks, do you know what a copper chisel will do to a granite rock? I mean, sure, I've seen both sides of the arguments on the Mohs hardness scale, but even at its best, copper versus granite, it's like bringing a knife to a gunfight, folks, especially when considering the massive size of these carved stones. And let's not even debate how these stones were moved until we know who made them. On the other hand, descendants of the Incan Empire, well, they contend that the megalithic foundations were there before their ancestors came to Peru. The Inca said the same thing to Pizarro in the 1500s that they say today. The gods, the giants of their past, created these structures, even claiming that Sacsayhuaman was constructed in just one single night. So you see the conundrum. Both stories can't be true. 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 We tend to believe that we are always advancing intellectually, scientifically, even spiritually. This brings forth the idea that we have to be more advanced today than we were in the 1500s, and certainly that people in the 2500s will be more advanced than us today. But the archaeological record of Peru just doesn't support this idea. Again, we see Cyclopean architecture creating massive rock foundations, Incan stonework built atop that, and finally Spanish stonework at the very top. Cyclopean, Incan, Spanish. Cyclopean, Incan, Spanish. Always in that order, a pattern that repeats itself again and again. And while I'm no archaeologist or stoneworker, I think it's pretty obvious. The lower or older the stonework, the more sophisticated it seems to be. Now, there are many researchers outside of modern academia who have been presenting alternative, logically grounded arguments to the origins of these massive stones and Cyclopean architecture. But often when confronted with ideas such as,
well, the Incas say the megaliths were here when they first arrived.
Well, the immediate response from academia is to dismiss, criticize, even try to cancel these alternative theories. But that makes no sense at all. I mean, consider this. Albert Einstein dropped out of school at age 15. Thomas Edison, he was considered dumb by his teachers. And who would have thought that Frank Lloyd Wright would become one of the world's greatest architects without a degree in architecture? I mean, it's amazing when you think about it. Richard Branson, Oprah Winfrey, Abraham Lincoln, Andrew Carnegie, Benjamin Franklin, all had little or no formal education. And consider this. The founders of Microsoft, Facebook, Apple, Dell Technologies, Oracle, Hewlett and Packard, Twitter, YouTube, Dropbox, and eBay, they're all college dropouts. So we're left with a puzzling mystery. Who really laid the megalithic foundations in ancient Peru? Were the Inca the masterminds behind those massive structures? And if so, why would they not take credit for these marvels? Or could there have been an even earlier, super advanced civilization at play, one that doesn't fit the archaeological narrative of modern academia and therefore could never be considered? I think it's fair to say that the evidence probably leans in the direction of each individual's paradigm. And I also think that it's fair to say that there are probably some that will push a particular take about all of this because of their own hidden personal agenda. And that, my friends, is the world we live in today. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of this. Is modern archaeology correct? The Incan Empire carved and placed all these stones. Were the ancient Incas telling the truth when they stated that the megaliths were there before they arrived? Is there another hidden civilization at play that was far more advanced than it should have been, according to the archaeological record? Or is there another answer altogether? Please leave your comments below. I'd love to know what you think. I'll leave you with one final thought. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, creator of Sherlock Holmes and one of my favorite authors, wrote, "When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth." And with that in mind, I just don't think you can count out an advanced civilization somewhere in our distant past. But of course, if true, well, that would change everything. Thanks for tuning in, friends. I'll see you later for the Friday night mic drop, but between now and then, stay curious. And I'll see you next time on the Ryan Files. What an incredible journey back to where it all began. My thanks to everyone who's been here since day one, and those who are just discovering the Ryan Files. Welcome to the mission. If you enjoyed this case reopened episode, make sure to like it, share it, and subscribe. And if you want early access, behind the scenes updates, and custom emojis, become a YouTube channel member. You can also join our community of truth seekers on Patreon at patreon.com/The Ryan Files. You folks are awesome. Be amazing, be positive, and stay curious out there, my friends. And I'll see you next time right here on The Ryan Files.
Case reopened, truth unspoken, The Ryan Files, chains are broken. Case reopened, dark wide open, The Ryan Files, the door's been broken. Carved in stone, every lie, every bone, hidden hands pulling strings, you're never alone. Angels falling fast, demons taking names. History's a mask, but the fire still flames. The watchers are watching, the ruins still bleed. Ancient maps drawn by a prophet's need. What's saved but a God with a wire spine? Rewiring the truth, reconfiguring time. The Ryan Files, hear the echoes creep. The Ryan Files, hear the echoes deep. Case real.